this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. This world is not my home, I'm just a passing through. My treasures are laid off somewhere beyond the blue. The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. They're all expecting me, and that's one thing I know. My Savior pardoned me, and now I onward go. I know He'll take me through, though I am weak and poor, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Just up in glory land we'll live eternally. The saints on every hand are shouting victory. Their song of sweetest praise drifts back from heaven's shore, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. This world is not my home, I'm just a passing through. My treasures are laid off somewhere beyond the blue. The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. They're all expecting me, and that's one thing I know. My Savior pardoned me, and now I onward go. I know He'll take me through, though I am weak and poor, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Just up in glory land we'll live eternally. The saints on every hand are shouting victory. Their song of sweetest praise drifts back from heaven's shore, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. This world is not my home, I'm just a passing through. My treasures are laid off somewhere beyond the blue. The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door,
All right. Well, the topics just continue. You can go one after another, but going to go ahead and bring this study to a close. And so I was kind of, which ones would I want to close on? Is there one in particular? But there's so many that, and I thought, well, let's end on one a little more positive. I mean, we've been a little heavy the last couple of weeks, and so this one, although all these are serious, if you will, from that standpoint, and very heavy, important, but I think this one is also just a good reminder, and I think it encapsulates everything that we've talked about in a lot of ways as far as the wisdom. And so I want to talk about a good name that Proverbs has to talk about. Look at Proverbs 22 and verse 1. I don't have any slides tonight. Proverbs 22. Someone get that when you get there. Okay, Tony. Proverbs 22:1.
Good name is to be more desired than great wealth. Favor is better than silver and gold.
Okay, we find this a couple of times. You also find this in the wisdom literature in Ecclesiastes 7 and verse 1, that this good name is more desirable than great riches and to be esteemed better than silver or gold. It's one of those Bible truths that we all agree and nod our heads. But the reality is that's not how most people, how even Christians will really even sometimes view that. Wealth, riches, silver and gold. I mean, we put that near the top, a lot of folks do, right? That's something to pursue and to desire and to work for and to achieve and success and my career and my job and my 401k and all those things. And my name is more desirable, that it's more valuable than a good name. How can that be? I mean, what do you think? What do we make of that?
Well, it's true, for one thing.
Okay, it's true. Certainly, it's in God's Word, so. But
I think Tony's got a story. Yeah, I got a story about that.
okay.
I do. They've heard it all before. Story number one about living up to your name. I was 15 years old. My dad told me to go take the trash to the dump.
Uh-huh.
And I could drive anywhere I wanted on errands, I guess, basically in Kansas. So I threw my shotgun in and I drove out to the farm and I went hunting for a while and didn't get anything. And then I got ready to take the trash to the dump and the dump was closed. And so I just went over, found a ditch, just threw it all in the ditch. And all of it was letters, had his name all over it.
Oh.
I come home from football practice the next day and the sheriff was there at the house talking to my dad, and they wanted to talk to me, and my dad said, after he left, my dad said, go clean up that trash tomorrow, and he said, I worked real hard to have a good name in this county. You started the name.
Yeah.
And he could have beat me with it'd been a lot better if he'd have beat me with the stick, but
Yeah.
saying that really hurt.
I mean, riches and wealth, in itself, there's nothing wrong with it. But how many people do we know that have those kind of material goods and possessions and money? But when you say their name in mixed company, right? We're not saying any names tonight, okay? So let's not throw out any names of anybody or just not even. But people, you can see the reaction quickly, can't you? And sometimes they'll say, do you know him or her? Are you friends? Someone will try to gauge because they got to be careful what they're about to say or if they're going to say anything, right? Because their reputation is terrible. And again, you can have all the riches and the fame and the wealth and the riches and silver and gold. And you can take a man who has very little or a woman who has very little, but they've got that good name. And it really is. Can you put a price tag on that? I mean, it really is. And and so and when we talk about a good name, that's really what we're talking about, aren't we? A reputation, right? What does it take to have a good reputation? What do you think? Okay, deal honestly. Yeah. A lot of hard work. Yeah, we've talked about honesty and hard work with our in this integrity. Yeah. Some of these we're going to swing back to. What else think about makes a good reputation? Being trustworthy. Doing what they say they'll do. When they say it. Right? Yeah, Barlena? Being loving. Absolutely. Kindness. I mean, people get a reputation real quick of not being a nice person. Absolutely. And so we have that in the Proverbs, these qualities. And I think that's what we start with is what are we talking about? We're talking about our reputation. We're talking about, number one, we're talking about integrity. We're talking about we're talking about character. That which you have inside. Now that is evident outward too. Okay, but integrity is what you have when no one else is around. It's what you have that no one else can even look into and see. I mean, can you see just on the surface level? Can you see if somebody has a good character, integrity? Well, you can after a while if you deal with them and work with them, but just on the surface level, you can't see in someone's heart what's inside them, who they are. And that's where it starts, is this someone who is doing what is right. When you think about people in the Bible, does anybody come to mind that had a good name, good reputation? Anybody in the Old Testament or New Testament that comes to mind, even some that are... Okay, David. Joseph. Yeah, who else think about anybody comes to mind? Moses, yeah. Talk about the meekest man on the earth. Remember Job? Remember what was stated about him? Being a righteous man, blameless. How about Abraham? Daniel, yeah. I mean, you think about all these great men and women of the Bible that were people of integrity, and I think. Go ahead. Did someone say? I think one of the things too that we see in the book of Proverbs is this idea of a legacy. You'll find this in the book of Proverbs, that this is what one leaves their children with, is a good, you pass this on. I mean, it's okay to pass on silver and gold, right, and possessions. Nothing wrong with that. Those are good. But what's better? That legacy of what? That reputation, that name. What did Tony's dad was saying? I've worked for this good reputation, this good legacy, and he could have pointed it back not only at himself, but he could have pointed it at Tony and said, "You're damaging now your name," because more than likely people knew Tony's dad to know that this has got to be. We'll come back to that in just a minute. Your reputation is so good and solid that when people hear something, you know what they're often going to do? Actually, they're not going to believe it. They're going to say, "No, that ain't it. No, I know them." But a legacy is something that we want to have, and that's so important. And I several years ago we hired a youth minister, and so I'm sitting there looking at the resumes, and I see this name, Hackworth. Some of you might know some Hackworths in Fort Gibson. Terry Hackworth was a youth minister at Fort Gibson for years. And when I was a youth minister for one summer in Haskell, Oklahoma, he was the youth minister there. And the church at Haskell did everything with Fort Gibson. Camp, everything. Anything Fort Gibson did, we had to go over there. And I was like, who is this Terry Hackworth guy they're talking about when I got there? Well, I learned in a few weeks and going to camp that summer, wow, yeah, it was Terry Hackworth's pretty good guy. And got to know him over the years, and Maggie and I with his wife Jean. And he was an excellent song leader, and he eventually retired early out of youth ministry and went into another line of work. And so I'm sitting there looking at this resume, Hackworth, and I'm going, that's got to be related. And so sure enough, I do some quick checking. It's a nephew of Terry, one of his brother's kids. And nowhere on his resume was Terry. And so I sent a message to Terry immediately, and sent a message to another person that was in the Tahlequah area, the church there. And so later on, when we interview Logan, and later on I teased him. I was like, nowhere in your resume did you have Terry Hackworth in your cover letter. Well, I didn't think it was a big deal. No, it's a big deal in Northeast Oklahoma. People know Terry Hackworth. I said, get him on the front of your cover letter. And I told him how to do that. Blah, blah, blah. My uncle was a youth minister in Fort Gibson, Oklahoma, Terry Hackworth. There you go. What am I saying? I'm saying the name had a what? It had weight. And I'm immediately now thinking what? This could be a good candidate. Yeah. And so it's so important, a legacy. What are we leaving our kids? What are we leaving people that are going to follow after us? That can be a tremendous blessing. It can also be, on the negative, what? A curse. Because the negative is what? Your name can be tarnished in your family, mother, father, someone, brother, sister, right? That now has tarnished your family's name in a lot of ways. And of course, especially in smaller communities, right? You can't hide from it in the big cities either. It's there. But small communities, right? People just know. And you're going to be right or wrong. I'm not saying it's right, but you're often going to be judged, and people are going to make evaluations sometimes based on that reputation or that legacy. And so he talks about that often here. Now, let me give you a couple of things that what a good name does. Let's look at a couple of these. Proverbs 12:3. Turn over there. It establishes us. Proverbs 12:3. Who'd like to read that? Okay, Dolores. Okay, so this integrity, this reputation, this character that we have, it will establish us. People with all kinds of wickedness, what's their life typically characterized by? Chaos, up, down, job, unemployed, right? Relationship, up, down. What defines that? Instability. What's a big reason of that? Their lack of righteousness, their lack of character. They're not being established. Godliness gives us deep roots, and that's something that it is important. Another thing I would say about this is look at Proverbs 27:2. Another thing about this, not only is establishes us, Proverbs 27:2, it needs to originate from others, our name, our reputation, our integrity, not from ourselves. Proverbs 27:2, who's got that? Okay, Ron?
Let another praise you, not your own mouth. Someone else, not your own lips.
Okay, it needs to come from others. Why? They're more objective, right? We are a little biased about ourselves, aren't we? But they've what? What have they done? They've witnessed it. They've interacted with it, right? And uh, even if you're not even know that someone has, you don't even have to directly interact with someone, right? They can just by distance, right? Maybe by just observing somebody, even if they're not know them personally, uh, and they can see that. And so it needs to come from someone else. It originates in what others see, and I like the practicality of that. Uh, we live in a self-promoting, right, narcissistic culture of just look at me, look at me, look at my status, look at my status, look at my tweets, look at my Instagram, look at my post, look at my resume, look at my everything is about. But you can't manufacture that reputation. I mean, you can try, but the minute someone encounters you and in life, you're going to it's out of your hands, so to speak. Your reputation follows you. Yeah, good and bad. Absolutely, I like that. Like that a lot. Um, and so it's so important to recognize that in that regard. Look at Proverbs 27:21. Someone who's got that? Someone have a hand over here? I thought I saw that wanted to read just a minute ago. Okay, uh, Sochi. Proverbs 27:21. Look at that. The crucible for silver and the furnace for gold. But people are tested by their praise. The testimony of your words only goes so far. You can say it, you can brag, you can post it, but it's what others see. It's what others have put to the test. People are tested by the praise of others. They've been people have encountered you, and and you stay humble, and you stay modest. It's okay to have praise. Let's not go to that extreme. It's how you handle the praise, and that's where things like modesty and humility. Um, I was right. I was watching. There was a great football biography on Barry Sanders that dropped over Thanksgiving. Now I'm a Sooner fan, but I appreciate good football and good football players. I don't care who you are, what team you play for, and I've always had the deepest respect for Barry Sanders. And one of the things that I've always had the highest respect for him when he played was when he scored that touchdown. Do you remember what he always did? Well, handed it to the ref. He'd score, find the ref. What do they usually do when they get in the end zone? I mean, and he's just like, where's the ref? Where's the ref? Just that, and yet he ended up being what? Maybe one of the best running backs ever played the game of football, right? And so, let others praise you, right? They will, and they'll see that. And so, I think that's there is this regard. A good name will bring you honor. Look at Proverbs 3. Proverbs 3 and 4 kind of ties into that. What's the phrase we use? Don't let it go to your head, right? That's the phrase we use. Proverbs 3 and 4. Who's got that for me? Okay, Kathy. Okay, and we're going to come back to that verse 3 in just a little bit. But by being a person of integrity and character, having that reputation, that good name, and we're going to swing back to what Bryalina talked about being kind, but love and faithfulness, bind it around your neck. You will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. And that makes me always think about that statement of Jesus, that when he went home and was obedient to Joseph and Mary, he grew in wisdom and stature and favor with God and man. What kind of reputation did Jesus develop for 30 years? A very good one. And it started with what? He was obedient to his parents. You know, why did Jesus start his ministry? Why did 30 years? Because he was developing character. That's right. We go back to what Matt and I have talked about in our class recently. He was 100% human, and he had to grow his character. He was God. He was God in the flesh, in human flesh, which means just like you and I, he had to grow and develop and work and mature in that. And that took 30 years to the point now where now he's ready to begin his public ministry. And so he grew in wisdom and stature and favor with God and man. And that's what it will bring. It will bring honor in that regard from others. Look at Proverbs 10 and verse 7. Another verse about honor. Who's got that? Proverbs 10 verse 7. Okay, Kevin. Now that's a pretty vivid. The mention of we'll start with the wicked. He says when you mention their name, it will rot. When you think about something rotting, have you ever seen something rot? Ugh. You don't want to look at it. Have you ever opened something up or seen something in a garage, a cabinet, a kitchen? I mean, whatever it might be. And you have a physical reaction, right? And you immediately want to do what with it? Get it away from me. Close that and just, are we going to say, no, we're not saving it. We are throwing it out. We are getting rid of it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to smell it. It is something that's rotten, right? We've had stuff in the refrigerator that's gotten old or something, and put it in the trash and take it out to the curb. I'll take it out to the curb. I don't even want it in the regular, just get it out there, you know? Just put it in the, and he says, that's what the name of the wicked will do. But the name of the righteous will be used in what? Blessed. Yeah. They'll speak favor. They will speak good. That's what in blessings would be pronounced. That which is good and right. And he says, this is what it will do for you. It will bring you honor, the memory of the righteous will be blessed. Look at Proverbs 18 and 3. Another one. Proverbs 18:3. This is just another example of from the negative side. When wickedness comes, so does contempt. And with shame comes reproach. You see that? Wickedness brings contempt. Wickedness brings shame. Praised is always, doing good is always praised. A good name will be praised. That which is dishonorable and deceptive will be a reproach among men. Something that is spoken bad about. Something that is disgraceful. That's why, our behavior and our actions and things we say and do can have such an impact on us, even long-lasting mistakes we've made. They can sometimes have a long consequence of even if we've been forgiven and tried to make right, it can last. And so Let me list a couple of things that we can have, how we can have a good name. Let's swing back around to integrity. When you think about integrity, what do you think about? Let's come back to that integrity word. Someone you can depend upon. What else we think about? Their definitions or attributes or doing the right thing when no one is watching. What else? You think?
I read a thing the other day that said you can tell someone's integrity by what they do with their grocery cart.
But their grocery cart? Yeah.
Do they put it in the correct place, or did they just leave it setting in the
Oh, yeah. Boy, that one hits close, Kathy. Now, watch out. Now, that one, oh, yeah.
But I thought, you know.
No, that's good. I like that. That's the practicality of it, you know. Absolutely. I mean, at its core, integrity is a moral, an ethical standard that someone abides by, that they hold to. Look at Proverbs 11:3. Who's got that for us? Someone would like to read Proverbs 11:3. Who hadn't got to read yet? Like to read. Okay, Ivana, Proverbs 11:3. Okay, duplicity. What do we think about when we think about that?
Mine says that the perversity of the unfaithful will destroy.
Okay, perversity. Perversity, duplicity. What do you think? What's talking about there? Come ideas. Do what? Double-faced. They two-faced. They say this, then they do something else, right? Yeah. And so he says that is they're going to be destroyed. We talked about that. But the integrity of the upright guides them. There's a moral standard. There's an ethical standard. There's integrity. That's a person is guided when they have integrity by moral principles, by moral standards, by ethics. They will not do this. They will do this because they believe this is important. And you can throw money at them and you can put some pressure on them, but they're going to hold to their integrity, right? You ever seen someone do that in a difficult situation, maybe on a job? And the pressure is there to what? To give in. Yeah. You ever known someone that's quit a job, walked away from something that says, I won't do it? Yeah. Do what? You did that, yeah. Several years ago, we met with a lady in Shawnee, and she's a single mom with 2 kids, and she was a CPA. She worked for an accounting group there, and she was being asked to do some things that was unethical. And she was concerned because, her boss was kind of like, this is how we do it here at the, and she was just like, it was kind of like, well, it's just how we do, how it's done. That's kind of how it's done. And go ahead and do that and sign it and, put your name on it. It's okay. That's how we do. And she was like, it's not right. And she was like, what should I do? And, we were trying to encourage her to do what's right. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's something dishonest, don't put your name on it. And we told her in no uncertain terms, we've got your back financially. You don't worry about that. You do what's right. Your church family will be here for you. And she was concerned. What was she concerned about? Feeding 2 children. Right? Go ahead. Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right. But it's hard when you got bills and mouths to feed. And some of you have been there. You've been there. You know how much dishonesty, I'll just say it, goes on in the jobs and deception and it's everybody fudges them numbers. Everybody does it. Just put that down. Everybody just, you ever heard that? Some of you? You better believe it. Happens all the time. You see a man with integrity that says, I don't care what everybody else does. I'm not signing off on something if it doesn't add up. And integrity. And so you've got that. You've got that in that regard. Look at another one. I think honesty goes with that. Proverbs 13:5. Someone who's got Proverbs 13:5. Okay, Ron?
The righteous hate what is false, but the wicked bring shame and disgrace.
Okay, So we've seen in Proverbs, or we've referenced a few times, that there are things that the Lord hates. And you remember there that there's 6 things, yea, 7 are an abomination. Remember that? We looked at. And that just means the 1 plus. It's not limited to those. But remember how many of those involve lying and deception? Remember? Dishonesty. The Lord despises. He hates. It is against His very nature of being a God of truth. And so a righteous man, he hates the lying. I always think of that old John Wayne movie where he's talking to someone and they lie to him and he won't give them another chance. And why are you doing that? I hate a liar. Remember that? I hate a liar. I ain't working. I ain't hiring you. You've lied to me right out of the gate. And some of you, maybe you don't quote John Wayne when you've dealt with, but you're thinking it, right? I've caught you lying already. Why in the world would I? Right? I see a hand. Yeah, Angie? Yeah. Sure. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Lying may be one of the, I think, absolute worst things, especially that could be developed early on and not dealt with, right? Because how major of a problem is that throughout life? When a person because one lie leads to another lie, and you this lie, and you can't remember what you're lying and covering, and there's nothing worse than being lied to. And so it's a, yeah, rewarding, but a lot of that, yeah. Well, people do it because they think they are going to get, they can get cut corners. They can get out of being in trouble. I mean, there's reasons why people do it, but it's developed early on, and it has honesty. What's the old saying? Is the best policy. It really is, right? And that's a reputation that we want to have in our lives. Look at Proverbs 11:27. Proverbs 11:27. Another is the person who seeks what is good. Proverbs 11:27. Who's got that? We'd like to read that. Okay, Ivana. My mind's going blank. Valora. Whoever you are. Valora, I know you. I know Ivana. Okay, the one that seeks good. And look what it says. Whoever seeks good finds favor. But evil comes for the one who searches for it. Again, have you ever found that? The irony of that is the people who always are in trouble. Imagine that. They're seeking trouble. You talk to them, and they just, for the life of you, they just don't understand why all this is happening. And you're like, you are seeking trouble. You are, and the one who seeks good finds favor. Again, these are general truths. Don't press them in every situation, in every moment. We've talked about that as far as the general truths that he talks about here. But this idea of seeking good. Look at another one here quickly. Here we got Proverbs 21:21. Proverbs 21:21. Whoever pursues righteousness and love and finds life, prosperity, and honor. So that's what the one who is pursuing righteousness, love. Here's what they're going to find. They're going to be blessed. Again, these are the general truths, certainly in the Hebrew understanding of these wisdom literatures, but the general truths, I think, still apply. there will be blessings. There will be prosperity, even if it's not always, the most money in the world. I do think that the Lord will bless those that continue to seek Him, and they will also have honor. He says that they will do. Look at Proverbs 20:11. Proverbs 20 and verse 11. Someone read that. Who's got that for us? Over here, does someone have a hand? Want to read? Who hadn't read over here? No, going once, twice? Okay, Dolores?
It is by his deeds that a lad distinguishes himself, if his conduct is pure and right.
Okay, Proverbs 20 and 11, yeah. Small children are known by their actions. That's what Angie was talking about. We got several school teachers that are in here. Their conduct, if so, even small children known by their conduct, actions, so is their conduct really pure and upright. I mean, if children are known by that, you better believe adults and older people are going to be known by their righteous deeds. Remember, Jesus tells of the tree that's going to be known by its fruit there in Matthew 12. By their fruit, you will know them. And they're going to live in such a way and speak in such a way that people will be able to see their integrity, their reputation, their actions. Interesting enough, we talked about this. Do you remember one of the qualifications for an elder is they have to have a good reputation on the people outside the church. And that's why they have to be older. At least they've had to have some experience. They have had to build that reputation. And doesn't mean that they don't ever sin, but their life is above reproach. They're consistent in their actions. And when they do mess up, they're going to try to make it right and to turn. And that's why another thing I would say about this with reputation, and that's kind of what Tony's story with his dad, circle back to that good story. You take a lifetime to build that reputation, and in just one action, it can get torn down and destroyed. I mean, think about someone who's got a business. I mean, I don't care what the profession is. Carpentry, plumbing, catering, food service, haircut, I mean, a salon. You can have 1,000, 10,000 good customers that you've served, but if you're not careful, what? One can really do a lot of damage. And that's why people guard that. And business people will often go out of their way to make it right if something's not done to the customers what they agreed to and paid and the satisfaction. And so it can be damaged so easily. And in that regard, I was sitting there thinking about that. Christians have reputation, congregations have reputation. And I think that even though our church, certainly every church has folks in it that may be living one way and saying another thing when they come to church, I like to think when people think of our church, they think of a good reputation that's been built over the decades here of goodness and love and a heart of service. And so you got to have that. And then what Brilena said, let me come back to this, Proverbs 3, be kind to those around you. I love Proverbs 3. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Why bind them around your neck? What's going on there? Yeah. That I can always be reminded of what's important. And what is important is love and faithfulness. Write them on your heart. Write them down. Bind them on your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name. There's nothing worse, certainly for a Christian, who is unkind. I mean, just mean. And again, we all have moments. We've all had seasons and periods where we struggle and attitude maybe, but someone who claims to be a Christian and is mean, is rude, is ugly, is hostile towards others. And you know it. I'm going to go ahead and say it. You know, people that have worked in restaurants and things of that nature on Sundays, they have seen it firsthand sometimes, haven't they? Now, they see, I think, overwhelmingly, I still think they see good and kind. But they've seen it. People who come out of church and are not very kind sometimes in the way they act. And so it is a fruit of the Spirit is kindness and love and patience. And these are things that should define a Christian. And they give us a reputation. They build us a good name when we are kind and gracious. I got a couple of things here I just want to leave you. These are a couple of things I thought that also are important with your reputation. Be true to your word. Some of these are also in the scriptures, even not just in Proverbs. Return borrowed items. Thought that one's interesting. Psalm 37:21. Maintain just business practices. We've talked a little bit about that. How about this one? Be punctual in paying your bill. Proverbs 3, verse 28. Associate with wise and godly people. You can get a reputation by the people what? You run around with. And Proverbs 13 and verse 20. And so these were just a few others here that I thought contribute to a good name, a good reputation. And so let's develop that as best we can. And of course, all of that is Christ. All of this is if we're being like Jesus, we're going to be growing in this and developing this because that's what Christ was in his life and his example. So, all right, so much in Proverbs to keep studying. So, all right, you guys, we will not have Bible class this Sunday, Christmas Eve, okay? So just worship at 10:30. Now, the elders have said I can extend my sermon because of that, right? Leon, Kevin, Bill, they're like they're like no. All right, okay, I won't. Maybe a few minutes over, but no, won't much. All right, we'll see you guys hopefully, Lord willing, Sunday.